It was the early days of December, and I found myself at home on this particular night, utilizing my day off to bask in the warmth of my fireplace. The wintry conditions outside were far too harsh for my liking, with snowflakes dancing in the cold air. Engaged in various tasks around the house, the day was shaping up to be a serene break from the routine. As I went about my business, a news report played in the background, forecasting the onset of high winds and potential blizzards set to unleash their fury by nightfall. By 5 o'clock, I could already sense a deteriorating situation outside. Seeking a change, I switched channels around 7, only to be met with the eerie sound of wind relentlessly battering my home. It resembled a blizzard, and, compelled by curiosity, I rose from the couch and approached the window facing the expansive backyard. The scene outside initially revealed nothing but a chaotic flurry of snow, obscuring visibility. Yet, amidst this wintry chaos, a mysterious figure emerged, walking through my backyard. The absence of a fence in my rather spacious yard made it somewhat expected, were it not for the blizzard raging on. The figure proceeded at a regular pace toward the far end of my yard, before being swallowed by the snow and darkness. I stood by the window, attempting to catch one last glimpse, a futile effort to unravel the mystery. I couldn't shake off an unsettling feeling, torn between fear for the unknown wanderer and bewilderment at their presence in such harsh conditions. The end of my yard led to a road, but it stretched for miles, an impractical distance to traverse on foot. Despite returning to the TV, the enigma persisted in my thoughts. A mere 5 minutes later, a sudden knock echoed at my door. Approaching cautiously, I cracked it open to reveal a man clad in a heavy winter jacket, his nose bright red and face ghostly pale. Whether he was the same person from my backyard remained uncertain, yet instinct told me otherwise. "How can I help you?" I asked, and he responded with a humble smile, his teeth visibly chattering. He explained that he was waiting for a ride and sought refuge from the cold until it arrived. The decision on how to respond wasn't as straightforward as one might think, given the dire weather conditions. After a moment's contemplation, I agreed to let him wait on the porch, where an overhang shielded him from the snow. I even offered him an old jacket of mine. Despite his lukewarm response, he nodded and settled on a chair outside. Locking the door behind me, I headed upstairs to retrieve the jacket. Descending the staircase, about to unlock the door, a sudden hesitation gripped me. Something indefinable urged caution. Leaning over, I peered through the peephole. To my alarm, the man now stood inches from the door, hand on the handle, seemingly ready to push it open the moment I unlocked it. Heart racing, I took a few steps back and discreetly dialed 911. As I whispered into the phone, my eyes remained fixed on the impending threat beyond the door. The realization of what awaited me on the other side intensified as the police assured me of their imminent arrival. Peeking out once more after making the call, the man had vanished. Not on the porch, not in the front yard, simply gone as if he sensed my summoning of the police. No trace of him surfaced that night, leaving me to wonder about the unknown danger he might have posed had I opened the door. It's a chilling thought, and one can only hope he never returns. Last year, during the holidays, I embarked on a journey to visit my family who lived a daunting 15 hours away. Usually, I braved the entire drive in one go, but an early snowfall had slowed down the roads considerably. Prepared to halt at a hotel along the way, I opted not to book in advance, deciding to find a place as fatigue set in. When I started, the snowfall was gentle, but the further I ventured, the heavier it became. Although the roads were still navigable, everyone drove cautiously. 8 hours into the drive, frustration set in as I realized I hadn't even reached the halfway point by 9 p.m. With the snow easing up a bit, I pressed on until midnight, determined not to prolong the journey. Finally admitting defeat, I pulled off at the next exit, arriving at a desolate motel. The building, a long one-story structure with around 10 rooms, exuded an air of neglect. The flickering lights on the dim sign outside hinted at a weary establishment. As I walked to the main entrance, a small sign on the counter caught my eye. "Be back in 15, it read, with a picture of a coffee cup. My luck seemed to elude me once again. Returning to my car, the parking lot now revealed its eeriness, completely empty. I stood in the cold, bewildered by the absence of any cars. Even the lack of tire tracks suggested that the parking lot had been undisturbed tonight. Doubt crept in, questioning whether the sign was indeed for a break or a harbinger of something more ominous. Back in my car, the lack of activity and the frigid air intensified my uncertainty. No cars in sight, no one at the desk. Where could the attendant have vanished during their break? Stuck with no alternatives within 15 minutes, my mind raced with possibilities. Exhausted, I succumbed to drowsiness and fell asleep in my seat. Awakening hours later, the snow resumed, and the wind rocked my car. As I peered toward the motel's entrance, my gaze locked with a man peering through my window. Startled, I recoiled as he stepped away, shouting towards the empty parking lot. A truck appeared on the other side, and another man emerged, making his way towards my car. The situation escalated as they attempted to break in, one smashing the back window, the other checking door handles. Panicking, I maneuvered my car, but the thick snow made it challenging. As one assailant reached inside for the door handle, a sudden burst of traction allowed me to spin the car around, causing him to tumble out. As I accelerated away, the other man tried to follow in his truck but ceased pursuit once I hit the road. Reflecting on the ordeal, I couldn't shake the realization that I shouldn't have let myself doze off in that isolated parking lot. Whatever sinister plans those men had in store, I might never uncover. What drove them to target that desolate motel parking lot? And who were they? The answers remain elusive, shrouded in the unsettling mystery of that harrowing night. For the past few years, I've been working with Uber Eats during winter break. With college on hold for a whole month, Uber Eats has been my go-to gig, sparing me from job interviews and the hassle of a regular job. I usually avoid working during the school semester, so this simple side hustle has been a reliable source of income during the holidays. The incident I'm about to share occurred a few weeks before Christmas last year. It was a snowy night, the kind that discourages most drivers from hitting the road. However, I had a set time frame to earn enough money for the break, so I borrowed my dad's pickup truck and started delivering. Surprisingly, the snow seemed to have kept many drivers home, resulting in a continuous stream of high-paying orders throughout the night. After about 3 hours of deliveries, a substantial order from a drive-through place came in. The house was a 20-minute drive away, but the tip was enticing, and the snow wasn't about to deter me. The map suggested a nice neighborhood on the other side of the county, a place I'd been around but hadn't explored extensively. By 11 p.m., the roads were heavily snow-laden, and fatigue was setting in. I decided this would be my last delivery before calling it a night and continuing the next day. Upon reaching the affluent neighborhood, I drove past huge houses with considerable land, but an unmistakable old mansion style. Upon reaching the delivery address, covered in a thick blanket of snow, I parked on the road and trudged through the snow to the dark house. No lights illuminated the windows, and a paper taped to the front door caught my attention. The notice, issued by the county, hinted at something unusual, but before I could delve into it, I heard footsteps approaching in the snow behind me. Turning around, I faced a man emerging from around the garage. With a buzz cut and a worn jacket, he walked towards me without uttering a word. Attempting to break the silence, I mentioned the delivery, but he continued without acknowledging me. A gut feeling told me something was off as he looked at me with cold, tired eyes. Handing over the bag, the man remained in place. Unsettled, I stepped aside, but he abruptly turned, and in a split second, it seemed like he swung his arm, attempting to grab me. Stumbling back, I faced him as he advanced, saying, "Come with me," while reaching out. Panicking, I retreated through the thick snow, and he chased me, demanding that I stop running. Gaining traction, I managed to outrun him, jumping into my car and speeding away. Glancing in the rearview mirror, I saw him standing in the driveway, watching. I called the police once I was out of the neighborhood, but by then, the man had vanished. Later that night, the police informed me that the house wasn't currently owned by anyone. The note on the door seemed connected to the bizarre encounter, but the man's intentions remained unknown. Ever since that night, pulling up to a house with all the lights off puts me on edge, wondering if it could be the same man, lurking in the darkness. The chilling uncertainty continues to haunt me.